So here we go. We'll start with a blank document. Okay, we're going to spend just a few minutes learning how to format your document. First of all, when you start typing, so that it will be ready for an agent, publisher, editor, whatever, without having to go back in and fix things. And then we'll also talk about formatting it as a PDF in the correct size for printing. Got a blank document here, and the first thing we want to do is embed the fonts. So you go to Save, and we'll talk about that for just a second. If you go up here where it says File, and click File, and then click Options. Go to File and then click Options. This will pop up. And once this pops up, you want to go to Save and embed your fonts. That way, when you convert it to a PDF, it won't kick out whatever font that you chose. And it will keep the fonts that you have used in your document. Now you can have it not embed common system fonts. That means that fonts that are common across systems, it doesn't have to embed. If you're worried about your font being lost in translation, then unclick that. If you're not worried about that, then you can just keep it clicked. I unclicked it for this purpose just because it makes the file a little bit bigger, but either way, as long as you have embedded the fonts, you're fine. Now we're going to go to the actual document formatting. You want it to be double spaced. That's what the industry standard typically is double spaced, and remove the space after a paragraph so that you won't have that big gap. So it's double spaced. Now let's go to line spacing options. This is where you choose indent. You're going to go down here to indentation and choose first line indentation. You want to set that as your default for this document only. Unless you want to just go ahead and make all documents that way, make sure it's set as the default for this document. And that way, every time you start a new paragraph, it will indent for you. Do not use the tab key because that can cause formatting issues. You don't want to use the tab key. Always indent. I like Times New Roman at 12 point. And that's typically what the industry standard is too. Okay, we've got our document ready, and we're going to go ahead and write just a little bit. You see that it's indented. Got the double spacing going on. I'm not the greatest typist. Okay, so we've got that. Next time you press return, here you go. All right. Now, when you get through with that first chapter, all you have to do is insert a page break. Insert a page break, and you've got it indented and ready to go. At 2, and then all right. Now, if you want to go in and make the chapter headings pop, and that's something you'll want to do eventually anyway, go up to Home, go to Heading 1. Now, I like to make it consistent, make it bold. That way it's the same font. It's up to you. Same thing with Chapter 2. Highlight the text, go to Heading number 1, Times New Roman, and bold. And now you've got your chapters. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is add page numbers. And that's going to be important. This is how I do it. I do it very easily this way. I choose Ion, and then I go back in and I change the color of the numbers to black so that they're easier to see. So now I've got my page numbers and I've got everything here. Okay, it's all ready, indented, double spaced. Every time I add a new chapter, I can make it a heading. And every time I am ready for a new chapter, just insert that page break. Here we go. Chapter 3. Type, type, type. You can make that a heading. And there you go. And the page numbers continue. It's very important to make sure the first page of chapter 1 is an odd number, and that's counting all of your introductory stuff. We'll talk about that later. But odd numbers are always on the right, and so you want to make sure that in the total pages that you have, that your chapters always start on an odd number. Okay, resuming. I have just a portion of a manuscript I copied and pasted, so we'd have a little more to work with for our next section here. So we've got everything done. We've got the chapter headings. Everything is double spaced. New page for every chapter. All of that great stuff. But now what we want to do is we want to make this fit to be a print manuscript. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start right there. I'm going to go all the way down. Now there are fancy, neat formatting ways you can do this. But if you press Shift and then Enter at the end, click at the top of the document, go all the way to the end, press Shift and then click, and you'll highlight everything. Then you can go here and change the spacing. 1.15 is a good readable spacing. Show you what I mean. 1 point, it's very hard to read. It's very close together. 1.5, that'll work, but it's a little far apart. 115 115 is a good spacing, or 1.5. I would not do 1 and I would not do 2 for print. So we've got 115 here. Got the page numbers, everything. Now all we need to do is change the size of the paper. The size. Go to More Paper Sizes after you've clicked Layout. And then you'll have to just type it in because they don't have a 6x9 as one of the presets. So 6x9. I do that because that's your typical trade paperback size. Now, see, we've got everything ready. Now again, remember I said that whenever your book starts, you want to make sure it's an odd number. If you have, you'll have a title page, copyright page, that sort of thing. So you'll have to count those in. Typically, I will have a blank page, title, copyright on the back, and then a blank, and that means the actual starting page is 5, but we want to start the content of the book on 1. So we've got 1 as our odd number. And we want to make sure every chapter starts on an odd number. This one's good, it's 7. Keep going. Now this one is also good, starts at 11. That's because I put an extra page in. Had I not put that page in, then it would have started on page 10. You don't want to start on page 10. So you'll come up here. Whenever you see that it's starting on an even number, just go to the previous page, insert, page break, and now you've got a blank page, and that's perfectly fine, and now it's starting on 11. You'll need to go through, after you create the 6x9 size, you will need to go through and make sure every single chapter starts on an odd number, or you're going to end up with a page beginning, or the chapter beginnings on the wrong side. And that's a dead giveaway that it's, you know, a do-it-yourself book. So now we've got that. Now, we could try to format this in a PDF by using what some people do say is the print to PDF. So we're going to print to PDF. Now I want you to see what this looks like. See what the margins look like right here. Okay? Print to PDF. You'll just go down here, Microsoft Print to PDF, and then print. And what it does is it creates, I'm just going to call this well sample because that's where it came from. So it's going to create it. And go up here. Got well sample, but I want you to look at it. You see that? Those giant margins? That's because when you print to PDF, it does not detect the size of your paper. Now you can fix that, but it's a whole lot easier to actually use Adobe Acrobat, because if you print to PDF, unless you have figured out how to set the page size in this PDF reader print to PDF thing, you're going to end up with a big page and tiny print in the middle of it. So I would not use that. Now I've switched to my Mac instead of Windows computer because I have Adobe Acrobat on my Mac. So this is how I suggest saving your formatted Word document. Now you may have noticed that the chapter is down here. I'm sorry that I skipped that part, but this is all I did. In the Word document, and I just hit enter 4 times. So when your chapter heading is at the top, just go to that chapter heading, hit enter 4 times. And then I also hit enter in between here to give it some space. So 4 enters to take it about 1/3 of the way down, and then 1 enter in between here for some space between the heading and the body of the chapter. 4 enters, 1 enter. Now I've got it just like I need it to be as a Word document. So let's see what happens next. Okay, I'm about to open Adobe Acrobat. I had to stop screen sharing and then start again because it will only share one window at a time. So now I have opened Adobe Acrobat. I'm going to go over to Tools and create a PDF. I'll select the file I want. So I'll go in and select that already formatted Word file. Got a lot of stuff. Sample document. And create. And when it pops up, it will look just like the PDF will look that you upload to Ingram Spark or Kindle or wherever. Now look, you won't see that big old gap like you see. Notice the normal margins, the normal space, everything looks the way it will look in the book. Because when you use Adobe Acrobat instead of print to PDF, Adobe Acrobat knows what size your paper is. So always use Adobe Acrobat. You want to save it. If you need to edit, you can edit with Adobe Acrobat, but it's not very intuitive and you can end up messing things up. So that's why I say have it ready in Word before you create a PDF. Go ahead and save that. Now you have a PDF of your entire manuscript. And it's going to look the way it needs to look, and you're not going to get weird errors, and it's the right size. So that is the way I recommend doing it.